All right, I think we're ready to go. All right. Welcome to this night's Planning Commission meeting. We will start with an invocation. Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all you have given us and many blessings in our lives. We ask you for your guidance and strength. Show us the way and fill us with courage and wisdom. Help us to remember your love and grace and to be faithful in our service to you. Give us the patience and understanding to face life's challenges and with grace. We ask these things in your name. Amen. We will move along to the approval of the minutes from the August 1st meeting. The only thing I saw were in the addenda to the agenda, it said 2 reappointments instead of 3, so we just need to amend that. Seeing that, did anybody else see anything in the, would someone like to make a motion they be approved as amended?
So moved.
Seegers move. Second?
A second.
Carr, second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Is there any other addenda to the agenda tonight?
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll move along to public hearing, and it looks like we've got ANX 23-5 and 6 put together.
Yes, sir, and staff would like to go through those together.
Okay.
If it's okay. So the sites are in red that are proposed to be annexed on this plan. I'd point out Clemson, you can see Clemson Boulevard in the lower left-hand corner, the Sam's and Walmart right above that. Then you can see the Beltline connector here, and at the top of the screen you can see the lake coming into the picture, so to speak, and the East-West Parkway on the right-hand side. Does everyone know where we are? Great. So the applicant is there's one owner for the 2 parcels, and he's requesting, or they are requesting annexation into the city. It's important to remember or to know that the applicant is also the owner of the larger 55-acre tract here that, except for the Beltway connector, has remained undeveloped. This annexation is the first step in a combination or a recombination of those lots with that larger parcel. Again, you can see the 2 parcels in blue with the city's zoning. So these 2 parcels are requesting to come in the RM18 zoning district. The RM18 and general commercial zones are currently existing are currently existing. So there, you can see how it's relative that it come in at RM18. Once combined, the applicant is proposing to develop a townhouse community here. Again, you can see the parcels that are requesting to be annexed in shaded red. It's important to remember that the only thing in front of the Planning Commission tonight is the annexation of those 2 parcels. This townhouse development will have to comply with the current city zoning, and staff will work with the applicant to make sure they do. That includes the new landscape ordinance as well as density requirements. Staff is recommending approval of both annexations. I'm happy to take any questions at this time, if there are any.
Does anyone have questions for staff at this time?
Is there questions back here?
No, not at this time. This is just for staff at this point. So currently, the front part of the property is the ones that are already zoned in are RM18.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So everything else has already been annexed in except for these 2 lots,
Yes,
correct?
sir, that is correct. This is what you see, the red and the brown are within the city limits, and that's the current zoning within the city limits. Those two blue parcels are not inside the city limits currently. Those are the ones proposing to come in, and everything that is not shaded with a color is in the county.
Okay. And was that just an oversight 20 years ago, just not getting those in, or?
No, it was a plan, it was my understanding it was a planned
Okay.
that they not be included.
Okay. Any other questions for staff at this time? All right, at this time, does anybody have questions for the applicant? All right, hearing nothing for the applicant, it sounds like we have some people from the neighborhood who would like to speak on the other side of it, so we do limit that to 15 minutes, and if you could, just make sure that when you come forward, state your name, where you're from, and also that if you want to come up, say something that might be a little bit different than the last person. So if someone would like to come up and make a speak, yes, if you'll come to the front, please.
All right, I'm Tommy Halewine. I live at 305 Arcadia, which is about, as you come around the first turn, come down behind it. I'm in the horseshoe there on Arcadia. Okay, just maybe 3 houses up from the red lot that's on Arcadia. The one thing I was involved in 20 years ago when it was first, I was there then. One of the things, the main concern of a lot of people, probably everybody in the subdivision, is a road dumping into the subdivision. I know in your minutes today, it said the staff was going to work to avoid a road. And based on that right there, it looks like they're not planning a road into the subdivision. So that was one of the main concerns 20 years ago. And now I think, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I'm sure everybody feels the same way. Now that lot on Arcadia, is it in the covenant? Is it in the subdivision? That's a question I have.
Okay. We'll ask that from the applicant after.
That to me, I don't know if that would make a difference.
Okay.
It's in the county, it's part of the subdivision. Can you annex a lot in a subdivision? You know, that's just a question that I just had. But anyway, I know RM18 is a lot denser. This proposal here, if it happens, will be a lot less people per acre. Townhouses would be different from the RM18. You'd have to rezone it to basically do what you're showing here, right?
No, because the RM18 is already there other than these two plats, so they could go ahead and do everything excluding these two.
But when you say townhouses, that's how many per acre?
It's already set for RM18, so,
Okay.
yeah.
But this proposal here is RM18?
No, this is just bringing the annexation and
Yeah, I'm
also,
talking
yes,
about the-
yes, those 2 lots, yes.
Yeah, just those 2 lots. I mean, but just this drawing here where you've got those are townhouses here
Correct.
proposed, right?
Yeah.
Which would be different from RM18.
No,
No?
No.
Same thing?
yeah, Chris, you'll,
Not having gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, what is shown up here would meet the requirements of RM18. In other words, it would be approved, could be approved.
But the density is less than RM18.
I'm not for sure if it is. It's either less, it's not greater than the density for RM18.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right, that's what I had, was just, you know, the density of the development, and then the road.
Correct.
Dumping into Arcadia. You can imagine that if you've got this subdivision here, and if you've got a road going out that end around Arcadia, there's a lot of instances where people there would want to go that way
Correct.
through that neighborhood instead of going up where the traffic lights are So you would have a lot of cut-through traffic through Arcadia into that development. So that's a big concern for the subdivision.
Okay, and you did state that there is an HOA in the subdivision, is that correct?
Well,
Or-
I don't, there's not, no, but what I'm saying is there a situation where you've got a lot, I'm not sure if that lot is part of that original development.
Okay. We'll ask the applicant that
Okay?
later.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Yes, sir.
I apologize if I spoke out of line there.
No, that's quite all right.
I'm having a hard time seeing this picture. Town Creek.
I'm sorry, state your name and.
Oh, I'm
and-
sorry, TJ McCormick. I'm representing my father. He lives at 302 Arcadia.
Okay.
Town Creek Cove, is that, I'm trying to find out where that's at there, but basically what I want to know is, you have to have 70% of the homeowners to agree to annexation into the city. Is this going to, what is this going to affect, how is this going to affect the homeowners there?
I fail to really understand. So you have to have 70% where
This is
you
what I
getting
was
that?
told, yes. I called the planning commission. They said that this, you have to have 70% of the homeowners to approve of the homeowners being annexed into the city. in the
Okay.
city. And what we
Oh,
want to
in
know
a,
is,
in a subdivision.
in the subdivision, is the subdivision itself is not being annexed.
Okay.
Is that true?
The subdivision itself is not being annexed. That
For
is.
how long?
I can't speak to that. This
Okay.
is just these two plats.
Okay. Is it going to have any effect as far as taxes or property values?
Should not, until something is built there and things like that. So I can't speak to those.
Do they have a timeline of when this building is going to start?
I'll ask that, we can ask the applicant after we speak with the opposition. So kind of, I'll ask about a timeline.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Yes, sir. Please state your name and where you
William
are.
Works, 210 Arcadia Drive. On the lot that's on Arcadia Drive, my understanding from a previous meeting is that the city cannot annex a spot unless there's a continuous connection to the city. And there's not in that lot that's by itself at lot number 23.
It actually is. It's all of that's already been annexed in except for those two lots.
Say that again, I didn't quite.
So where that lot is, behind it, towards the Beltline connector, that one actually is, all that's been annexed in the city already.
This right here, all this is inside the city.
Okay.
It's just the back of, the back of all those
That one.
houses in the neighborhood have not been.
See,
Okay.
the brown is in the city,
Okay.
and the blue is what's being proposed to be annexed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions right now?
Travis Hancock, I live on Arcadia Drive, or
Okay.
Town Creek Trail. And so one question I would have, just given the plat layout, why annex the lot on Arcadia at all? It looks like none of the development is really planned to be on that plot. Is that accurate?
Well, I believe the
I guess-
same folks own all of that, and so they were just wanting it to be contiguous, but we'll ask the applicant for that. So just asking why they need to bring it in?
Right.
Okay.
Because that seems like the one on the bottom right makes sense from the plans. The one that's touching Arcadia is probably as much or more the concern of most people here. it doesn't look like really impacts the plan significantly. So even if we could separate those two, probably would make most of the homeowners in the neighborhood feel better about the plan overall.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Mr. Watson?
Jeff Harbin, 307 Arcadia.
Okay.
Just a couple concerns. What's the buffer area there between the two properties? The one that's trying to be annexed there on Arcadia and the actual subdivision?
What is the buffer or
Yeah.
what will be the
What
buffer?
will it be?
And that's that will be a different meeting, because usually what'll come in is this is really, what the picture you see is just a rudimentary drawing. It has no engineering, has nothing like that, but it's basically a conceptual drawing. So usually what we'll ask of them from the city, Chris and Maurice can speak more to it, but there usually is, they want buffers, they want, what's the word I'm looking for? Landscape buffers or some kind of berm or something like that they'll, it would guard against encroachment into those communities.
As you know, everyone here is concerned about this project. I don't know, if I'm mistaken, correct me, was there a meeting prior to this concerning this piece of, this annexation or whatever?
No, this
Okay.
is the first one that, it's been before the planning commission.
Okay.
So, like several folks have said, it was 20 years ago was the last time I think this has kind of been brought
Okay,
up.
I was misinformed. I thought it was maybe another reading before this one concerning the annexation. But as other folks have mentioned, I'm not trying not to repeat the same things, but looking forward, say 20 more years from now, this property changes hands, someone else buys it. Is there a possibility they could come in and try to encroach and make a road into the subdivision as well? If this piece of property there on Arcadia is annexed in, that area, our little area there is kind of secluded, but it's not, but the growth just in there, I mean, from Walmart and Sam's is really creating a big traffic snarl, especially coming out there on the Beltline connector at the gas station. I mean, there's been numerous accidents there, and eventually there's probably going to put a traffic light there if that community is built. And then that's really going to cause a backup, down on Arcadia, especially if someone's trying to get out of the neighborhood and there's, the light's red and it causes a big traffic, back up there. So we're already in a overcrowded county. I mean, they're constantly building more and more houses and more subdivisions. And we just don't see the need for another one, especially right there so close. Property values, I know you said you're not sure, but we like to know for sure if it's going to have an impact on our property values, on, traffic through our neighborhood in the future or anything of that nature, because we're all property owners and we love our community and we're just trying to help save it from an overpopulation, which is already occurring in numerous parts of the county. So we're just trying to come together and hopefully find some kind of resolution to where we're not, looking both ways before we walk out in our yard, because of traffic and all that.
Okay. So again, with the, really wanting to make sure there's no road into the neighborhood, keep it on the Beltline connector.
Especially now or, in the future, say 10, 15 years from now. Because I know how property owners, sell and people come in and buy stuff up, and then, the next person is like, well, hey, I need this road in order for this community to survive. And then here we are again back 10 years trying to, go through the same thing again.
Correct. And that, usually they have to come back before city to have any kind of the change like that, because what's going to happen is they're going to come in with a drawing, an actual 2-scale drawing, and actually have to get approval from us, and we would notate that, we want to make sure that sticks with no roads going into that neighborhood. But thank you very much. Anyone else that would like to speak Yes.
Hey, I'm 401 Arcadia, and basically, just like the other ones, our neighborhood is old. I mean, we've got a lot of older people, and we have great relationship with everybody. We have a lot of younger ones coming in, and these kids play in the road, so yeah, and everybody walks. Like I say, I know there's a lot of us that walk in the neighborhood, and if we could at least not get that road cut through, if they could consider that, we'd appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is Mr. Watson here? Yes.
Well, I'm not Mr. Watson, I'm Charles Morris. My wife was a Watson.
Okay.
And she is one of the owners of the property here.
Okay.
To answer a couple of the questions there is, we will not be developing the property ourselves. We will be selling it. And as far as a timeline, there's no timeline yet. The buyer, or proposed buyer, it is still in the inspection phase period. So as of right now, no, there is no timeline on when this development could or will occur. There is also no plan for a road going into the Arcadia subdivision.
Okay.
And even at that, as you said, it would require approval, and Arcadia Drive, being a county road, would also require county approval.
Okay.
And I do not believe the county would even consider that with with the way everything had worked out 20 years ago.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for applicant? Yes.
Why do you have to have that particular piece of property annexed?
The buyer wants that piece of property, and he just doesn't want to buy property that part of it is in the county and part of it is in the city. So we want to bring it as contiguous. He can also use that property as green space with the city's tree ordinance and everything. That gives him, availability there for, trees or whatever, just to help meet the city's requirements and everything.
Yeah, I guess the concern of one of the people was, it doesn't seem that any part of, except maybe the pond.
Retention pond.
Retention pond will be on that property, so what's the use of having that piece of property there?
Again, like I said, the buyer has requested
Okay.
that we do that.
Okay. Any more questions for the applicant? All right, thank you very much. Any other questions for staff? So is there a way that we can put in, is there a reason to, Chris, is there any reason to put into either one of the motions that if we were to bring in Arcadia to either make a motion that, no roads can go into that, or would that have to wait until like the plan development district or anything like that, PDD or?
The planning commission could certainly recommend to the council that be a condition of annexation.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions or on the matter? Hearing none, I'll put into a motion that we annex ANX 23-5, the Fritz Drive, and that we, at this time, do not annex ANX 23-6, which is the Arcadia Drive. And what is anybody's thought on that?
If the buyer's gonna do it, because I see giving him the property, because with the mortgage rate at 7.29%, there's gonna be a tremendous demand for townhouses, tremendous demand.
Okay.
Because you couldn't meet the requirements to borrow that much money at that percentage rate, highest in 23 years.
Speak up, can't hear you.
He's just speaking on the demand that will be for townhomes because of the way the markets are at this time. So would you say would you move that we annex both of them?
Yes.
All right. So we do have a motion to annex, to approve both annex 23-5 and 6. Does someone want to second that motion?
I'll second that.
All right, Carrie will second that. Any more discussion or?
I liked your idea, sorry.
Yes.
I liked your idea of putting in at least a recommendation to the city council that we request they not make a road
Okay.
into Arcadia as part of that motion.
Well, Mr. Seegers, can we add that to your motion where we, in ANX 23-6, we added an amendment that no roads may go into the Arcadia neighborhood? Can you hear that, Gary?
Second.
All right. Seeing that, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that will move forward to city council. Is that next week?
Yes, sir.
All right, so that'll go before city council next week. And then we have the new business, the new sign ordinance, sign 2390 and 2392. For those that were here for the Arcadia, and if y'all would like to leave quietly, that would be, thank you. We'll give a little pause, Chris.
Get names of folks on this committee? They
Um,
don't have no
there-
identification whatsoever?
They're on our website, city's website. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In August of this year, council approved a new sign ordinance. That sign ordinance included a comprehensive sign plan, which allows for sites and signs that would otherwise not be approved through the plan to be approved by Planning Commission. Staff recommended the comprehensive sign plan to this applicant because of the size and the complexity of the site. The two applications before you tonight are for hospitals. There's multiple disciplines in those buildings. There's multiple people, different kinds of people coming to these spots, and often in emergency, information and locations of those facilities need to be clearly communicated. So we felt like it was the appropriate application for this comprehensive sign plan. So again, this is is new to you all, and it's new due to the revisions to the sign ordinance that was approved earlier this year. So the first one is AnMed Hospital downtown campus. You can see it outlined in red on your screen in front of you. Running through the middle is Greenville, sort of diagonally across, and then up is Fant Street, with the hospital being right here. Does everybody have an understanding of where we are?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Again, so this is a site showing the sign locations. Fant is down at the bottom of the screen, Greenville on the left-hand side, with North Street running off the top north. So again, there really are very few new signs in this application. Most of these are refacing monument signs, as you can see here, or refacing directional signs. So there's one example, before and after. Again, this is a directional sign inside the campus, before and after. So I would refer to your staff report. There is a summary of the differences between what's proposed and what's allowed. A little table. For instance, here, the directional sign that they're requesting is larger than the 4 square feet allowed by the ordinance. Again, another monument sign. Here, multiple monument signs are currently on the site where only one is allowed per street front. And the size and height varies from what would be allowed by code. Oh, sorry. Yep, here's another monument sign, again, before and after. Wall signs are another thing. Typically, the code limits them to no higher than the second floor. This is up on the building. Another wall sign. Again, you can see the existing and what's proposed. Again, this is that directional sign. You can see the sizes proposed exceeding the 4 square foot. That's what it will look like. This is on the road on Greenville, I believe. Again, this is a directional sign, kind of a monument sign combination, but again, larger and more of them than would be allowed, but definitely necessary to communicate, again, in an emergency, where the emergency room is, things like that. Staff is recommending approval of this application.
Can we speak a little bit about like the wall sign placement? One of my, unintended consequences is kind of what I'm looking at. And I understand a lot of these signs are for medical necessity. They're needed. But what I think I'm worried about is what we do for one, we have to do for all. And so the wall sign placements, being almost 4 stories higher than what the others are, does anybody have any problems with any of these? I always try to look at the unintended consequences of what we do today. What's that going to mean, in 15 years?
Right, and if I could, staff has those very same concerns.
Okay.
And so, to some extent, we want to be gatekeepers of what comes to you all
Correct.
through this package. Again, for us, the uniqueness of this campus, and I mentioned
And
it,
what it serves.
the size, and for me, it's the complexity of what's in there. There's you got to think of all the reasons you go to the hospital, and there's different areas that you need to go to for those different reasons, and so all that together makes this a very unique case.
Okay. Are there current monument signs already in compliance with what's going to be there, or what they need to do in 12 years? Are those already in compliance?
So I think that's two different questions,
Okay.
and I'll answer them both.
Okay.
So number one, they're not in compliant with the monument signs. There's too many of them, and they're
Yeah.
too big.
Okay.
For the new code, right? They're too high, they're just too big.
Okay.
What you're talking about is the amortization of pole signs, which what you've got right here is a good example. In 10 years, pole signs will be required to come down.
Okay. Any other questions for staff right now?
I think new signs look a lot better.
I don't disagree. They're
Yes.
they're not faded.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They're a lot lighter and can hopefully see them a lot better. But I will have to say that because of the services that happen on this campus, it's a different need for signs than say if it was a fast food restaurant or something like that.
Right.
So
Right,
there's
exactly.
a definite need for directing traffic where it needs to go for medical purposes. So. Hearing that, would we like to hear a motion does anybody have any other questions? Yes.
As I recall, our discussion was there was no grandfathering stuff in anymore, so the things that are not in compliance are not going to be grandfathered in by what we do today or what the city council does whenever. Am I understanding that right?
Yes, sir, and I'll throw it back at you, and if you don't understand something, let me know. You are correct. That's why, so let's just say this was a restaurant, a fast food restaurant that was asking for their monument sign. They would be required to meet those requirements that are currently in the code, right? If they wanted to do a new monument sign like AnMed wants to do. But tonight, what we're saying is this is so unique that we're going to allow them to have more signage and larger signs than what we would normally do because of their uniqueness. And you're correct. If McDonald's, has a pole sign, right, and wants to put up a new sign, they would not be allowed to put up a new pole sign. They would have to go to a monument sign, which, depending on the district they're in, would be maybe 5 to 8 foot off the ground. Or, the maximum height would be 5 to 8 foot.
Is this I'm sorry, am I interrupting you?
No, ma'am.
Is this a city ordinance that this is coming from the city?
Yes, ma'am. City Council approved these ordinance changes in mid-August of this year.
Would it be reasonable to ask, and maybe it won't be, but would it be reasonable to ask City Council to write an exception for the hospital so we don't have to?
I think
I think
I
that's what they're
appreciate
doing with
that. I
us.
think that's what this I don't think. This comprehensive sign plan is that, and the idea is that there is some review of it, and you all are that review.
Correct. I think we're the ones that.
The buck stops with you.
We're gonna vote on whether we allow AnMed to go, not against what the current, or what what was just voted in.
I guess what I was proposing is that we just tell City Council to write something right into the ordinance that says this does not apply to the hospitals. So that when someone else comes to us, we can say, well, they were given a specific exception in the law, rather than us having to defend ourselves every time someone
No,
comes and wants to put.
I see where you're going with it, but that's the reason we're here, and what sets this apart is the scale and the complexity. And I don't mean to keep going back to that and harping on it, but it is what sets it apart. McDonald's, we keep using McDonald's. McDonald's is not a complex site, right?
Right.
You're going there to get your hamburger, right? And you're out. This is much more than that, and that's what sets it apart and makes it a different animal.
There's not gonna be a lot of medical facilities
right.
that are this
Yeah,
large.
no, I
So,
understand
yeah.
that. I just thought that, like, they're kind of asking us to go behind them and clean up what they forgot to include in the ordinance in the beginning.
I guess I don't look at it that way. It's providing the flexibility for these size developments. Like, it might not be a hospital, it might be a university that is the next one that comes, or I don't know, it might be a big factory or something that has just tons of land. I don't know what it is going to be, but it's not just a hospital. It could be something big and complex.
That is more complex than
Right.
you have this much land, this is how big your sign can be and everything else. So I do appreciate that, and yeah, so there'll be less than a handful of instances where we'll probably have to do this more than.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
every time. All right, well, that was good discussion on that. So, hearing that, would we want to, I guess we do need to approve the comprehensive sign plans for AnMed, downtown and North Campus, is that correct?
All I've done is the downtown one. I'm happy to run through the North Campus if you want to look at it at the same time.
It looked like it was similar, so do you want to go
It
ahead
is-
and do it at the same
It is,
time?
sure,
Okay.
not a problem. So this is the North Campus. You can see it outlined in red. You can see Reed Street coming across the middle of the screen with Greenville vertical in the middle of the screen. Again, these are site plans for where those signs are located. Now, the thing that I think you need to keep in mind is that a lot of these signs are internally illuminated. So they're going to glow, and there's nothing in the ordinance that would prevent internal illumination for a sign. But these are big signs, and I wanted to make sure you understood that. So this is the LED system for this sign. So again, this is a monument sign that will, again, glow at night. More wall signs, again, pointing out the nighttime view there on the right. More wall signs. And more, again, they're higher than the second story window. Here again is the directional sign exceeding the 4 foot that's currently allowed by code, 4 square foot, I should say.
Will you go back one? It looked like it was a little bit smaller, but is that just not drawn to scale, or?
I think that's probably it, yes.
Okay.
Because yeah. Again, more internal lighting from LED for these structures.
Are the current signs LED on the North Campus?
I'm sorry?
Are the current signs, are they lit up on the North Campus?
That one that was on Greenville Avenue was. The monument signs, to my understanding, are not.
The ones that are inside, I don't believe are, but.
Yeah, the ones that inside are not. Yes. Did that answer your
But
question?
now they are? Now they're
So these are on the North Campus.
Right.
And yes, they're not lit currently, but would be internally lit.
But they want to start lighting them,
Yes, that's correct.
even though no one will be there at night.
Well, it might be in the winter, where it's longer nighttime hours, or, the answer is yes.
I do believe they're changing what will be out there some. So.
They are, they're moving everything, they're moving the hospital part downtown, so no one will need to be there, like it won't be an emergency anymore,
Okay.
so, just asking, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's beyond me, I don't know. Again, another one that's internally lit, and that's what it would look like on the right. Existing is on the left. And those, you can see the normal change out here, which is of really no consequence, no issues with the code. Again, staff would point out that there is a summary of the differences between what's proposed and what's allowed in your summary. Otherwise, staff recommends approval, and I'm happy of both of them, and I'm happy to continue the conversation if you want.
So currently, if somebody else had a monument sign internally, they'd be able to kind of go into Corey's question about that. Is there a reason to have these LEDs inside the campus that are lit all the time when nobody is supposed to be at the facility at that time? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense, and I'll dance around the answer.
Okay.
There's nothing that would prohibit them in code from lighting those signs.
Okay.
Okay. So
I'm-
we're
That's
not
not even
making an
in-
exception for that,
No, ma'am.
okay.
Okay.
If McDonald's wanted their drive-through arrow lit
All night long?
all night
They
long,
could-
they could do it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, hearing that, do we want to, what's that? Yes.
I think, I'm just really concerned about the old slippery slope, opening the floodgates, so to speak, and I just want to make sure that we're not doing that here, because and I know you say this is a handful, but is it, are we gonna be here for the McDonald's, for Wendy's, for law firms, for banks, for, I don't want to open that up.
I think he notated one that would probably be coming in front of us sooner rather than later.
Well, I think, you're going to have to prove, to staff that you meet the criteria of it being a unique sign or a unique site before it gets to planning commission. Or Yes, Planning Commission, sorry. And I'm not saying there's not going to be one that you don't think deserves it and, you know, deserves to be approved, and certainly it's within your right to not approve it or find it not in keeping with those criteria, and not approve it. I guess staff is suggesting this one meets those criteria and is recommending approval for that. I get it. I totally get it.
Can we say why we're approving it? Is that
You
allowed?
can.
Yeah.
Do whatever you, yeah.
Okay.
So if someone wants to make a motion on these and basically state why, we can do that, so.
Okay, then.
So before us, we have sign 2390 and 92. We'll just group them together. Someone want to be a motion that approve or denial, and we can put in why. So would you like to do that?
Sure. I move that we approve
Do you want to say based on,
because the facilities in question at issue are necessary to the entire community.
okay.
Or something to that effect. I don't know. If I had more
I
time,
would,
I could think
I
of
would say
something better.
necessary, I would say community necessitates this kind of signage, just to be able to get around
That this
those
is something
properties.
the whole community, this is a facility that the entire community needs, and, I don't know.
Needs to find their way around.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone want to?
Which
s-
one?
I'll make sure it gets in the
Factory or
minute.
something like that.
I'll make sure it gets in the minutes, and I'll make sure it gets noted in the file.
And
Yeah,
worded,
that was
worded
very eloquent.
perfectly. correct?
Perfectly, yes, sir.
All right.
We're being recorded.
Anyone want to second that?
Sir. Wait.
Second to Steve. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it.
I will say that we have a lot more coming from outside the city, because Anderson Hospital is nonprofit.
Yes.
Take them to Prisman and Greenville, they will not accept it, because they're for a for-profit hospital.
Okay.
If you don't have the insurance and money, you come here.
Okay, so
Why you see all
we'll,
these-
we'll get more of the Elberton, it'll
Yeah.
be more for outside the community too,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
All right,
And
well,
I definitely think it's necessary, I just am concerned that,
unintended
So-
consequences.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes.
might, if it would help, there is an urgent care center that we're holding the line on the size of the signs to what's required. Again, because it's not as large or complicated as a hospital, it's an urgent care center. So we're holding them, and, you know, they're saying, oh, we need it, but we're holding them to the size requirements.
The campus is not as ambiguous as.
That's right.
An ANMED or, yeah.
Yeah, it's maybe an acre,
Yeah.
maybe, not even that.
I don't believe we have any other board business, but we do have the continuing education. You want to talk about that?
Yes, sir, thank you. So staff has set up three opportunities for everybody to come and sit down and actually watch a video in a conference room, if you don't want to do it at home, on your own time, on your computer. And I'm sorry, I don't have those. Those were circulated in an email. If you need them, please let me know, and I'm happy to send you the dates and the times. I'm anticipating that in the spring, we have to get all this done before June. I'm anticipating that in the spring, we'll have another 3 series, so that you can watch. If you didn't, you can watch it again. But having said that, I would recommend watching it at home on your own computer. It's relatively easy. I know you had an issue. I'm sorry. I think we got it worked out. It should be relatively easily to sign up and get registered. And if you don't, give me a call and we'll work it
Okay.
out.
Because I think I was able to log in.
I think I've seen you. Yes.
Okay, all right. So,
You're one of a few that have already started the
okay.
process. Yeah.
All right, so, but if we do that, we can watch at home.
Yes, yes, sir.
And get our certificate that way.
Yeah, you just need to let me know. if you get those certificates, you can either send them to me or let me know that you can completed it, and I can request the certificate from MASC.
Okay. So if anybody has problems logging in, they can contact staff, and if
Yes.
they want to do the, I guess, staff, viewing with the staff, they can
Yeah.
come in and do that, so.
You get
Any-
cookies.
Any other questions on continuing education? All right, hearing none, we will consider ourselves adjourned. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.